Welcome to Perspectivas Latinas, a community service of CAN TV. I'm your host, Juan Carlos Hernandez. This year, the Resurrection Project will be the beneficiary of the fundraiser Global Latino Fest, which is in its 9th year. The fundraiser will serve La Casa, an innovative student residence hall in Pilsen. Here to talk about the Resurrection Project, its history, and La Casa's work, we have Maria Bucio and Julio Guerrero. Welcome. Thanks for coming out today.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for having us.
Let's start off by talking about the Resurrection Project and its history. Julio or Maria, whoever wants to take that question.
The Resurrection Project is a not-for-profit community development organization founded in 1990 in Chicago's Pilsen community. The Resurrection Project, in many ways, came about because of people like Maria and myself sitting here that saw a different path for our community. It was founded by a coalition of concerned neighbors in Pilsen when Pilsen was one of Chicago's worst neighborhoods in terms of disinvestment, crime, other issues. And so these neighbors worked together to develop strategies and ideas about how to change the path of the community that they were living in. They saw something greater for the community, they saw a healthy community. And so the organization, which at the time was neighbors from parishes, each got together to commit seed monies, seed capital, to found an organization. So 6 churches came together, invested $30,000 each to hire a community organizer. And that community organizer started working with neighbors. Mind you, this is 1990, a long time ago. Crimes are, the neighborhood is struggling with lots of issues, poor city services, gangs, etc. And that organizer works to build leadership in the community, works to strengthen parishes. And through time, the organization tackled various initiatives, everything in the space of housing, economic development, education. And since that time, we've been able to leverage more than $275 million in community investment to realize some significant investments in terms of affordable housing, La Casa, which you'll hear about, financial literacy and education of families. And really the goal of what we want to do is to transform a neighborhood, create healthy communities, create communities of choice.
Tell me about this coalition and how it came together, and about these churches. Were they all of the same denomination, or was it multi-denominational or non-denominational? How did this coalition form, and what were the roots of that?
Sure.
Of that idea for seeking change, for, like you said, seeking development in Pilsen?
Sure. It was actually the community being predominantly Latino and Catholics being the predominant religion amongst Latinos, and then in Pilsen in particular, there being a number of Catholic church. That was the main denomination and focal point of the sort of the faith-based aspect of the organization. But the basis of everything really came from the idea of putting your faith and values into action. So from the very beginning, for these concerned neighbors, there was a common language for them to build upon about what's right and what's wrong, about what are the values. And many of these neighbors, my aunt was actually one of them, were the leaders of the different parishes. They sat on the parish councils. And so through working with the parishes and the idea of strengthening their own parishes, they united themselves, churches, that are 4, 5, 6 blocks from each other, a mile from each other, united themselves around common goals for the community and worked together to create this change.
Okay, and some of those common goals you said were?
Initially there were goals around city services, cleanliness of the community, crime. Unfortunately, at the time we had lots of alcohol establishments that led to lots of issues of alcohol abuse, domestic violence, et cetera, et cetera. And so these concerned neighbors, of course, targeted issues such as those that we could manage armed with policies and laws that exist to ensure that there was enforcement, to ensure that there was communication regarding say, for example, garbage pickup, to ensure that there was much more communication about that in the community, and so families were aware about cleanliness and issues associated. And again, that's where it started. But then as we grew up and became a little bit more sophisticated, all this being a little bit before my time, we got access to other programs and other resources that the city established. And really, you know, our history working with the city of Chicago has been one of partnership. And working with the city of Chicago, we were able to launch one of the city's most successful affordable housing programs. And we were able to basically convert, in our early days, vacant lots in the community into for sale affordable homes at a time when people said to us, you really want to build affordable homes here?
Right.
Do you think people will really buy them? And we had people line up. We actually held a raffle to sell our first homes. We had so much demand. We had families who had saved their monies, hardworking families who had saved their monies to become homeowners, to invest their own dollars into the community to really kind of symbolize that change.
So despite the fact of there being poor city services in Pilsen at that time, it eventually developed into a partnership with the city.
Yeah, you know, and really it all stemmed from engagement. You know, I think we all know that there are challenges in our community, but once you start talking about them in partnership with your neighbors, then you can build power coalitions amongst a community of neighbors, and go have a conversation with your local alderman, with the mayor even, about, you know, addressing these issues and coming about it through a partnership manner, you know, creating these vehicles for change. And it's a step-by-step process.
Right, so this organization born in 1990, you said your aunt was part of it?
That's right.
I'm curious as to what brought you both to this organization and why you've, I'm sure you studied away, you left your community to study or wherever life took you, and it seems that a lot of Latinos do return, but many don't, to work in their communities. What brought you back, and what has kept you working at the Resurrection Project? Maria, let's hear from you.
It's interesting you asked that question. I think that for me it was coming back home, the sense that I had the ability to give back some of my new skills and new talents, and realizing that even being able to go to college was not something that I did on my own, that it was thanks to the community that I lived in that made that possible, and the fact that there were people who believed that there was a person that was worth investing in. So for me, it was coming back, knowing that I had a skill in knowing the college process, the financial aid process, and trying to bring that back to my community to empower students to have choices, to be able to decide whether they wanted to attend a community college, a four-year university, whether private, public, or start work or start their families. Whatever their definition of success is, I have something to contribute. So when the opportunity to come back to Pilsen came up, working with the Resurrection Project, it was like the perfect match for me at the time.
The perfect match. And since when did you come back to the to Pilsen, and specifically to work at the Resurrection Project?
I'm about to make about 2 years, and
years.
this is after having left Pilsen in 1994, moved to Minnesota, Texas, worked abroad, eventually come back, and so for me this was the perfect fit.
You talk about perfect fit, again, going back to how does it feel to return home with this set of experiences, this set of knowledge, and I guess seeing yourself in these in this community and in the young people you work with? We're going to get to La Casa, but how does that feel?
I'm very happy with the opportunities that were presented to me early on, and that now I'm able to bring that back to students and empower them to take their own journeys and to feel proud of the journey that they're starting, regardless of where they might end. It's just amazing to be able to work with young people.
Okay, and you?
You know, my path through the community, I mean, comes from, you know, to he or she who much is given, much is expected, right? And it's an honor for me in particular to come back to the community and give back to it. Much of the reasons why I continue to be involved is, you know, one, going back to what I just said earlier, but also my experiences in community service. In particular, I went to a Jesuit high school, St. Ignatius College Prep, and you know, being a man and woman for others was instilled upon us as part of the teachings there. And then, you know, through my college years, I went to the University of Chicago, studied literature and really studied literature about Chicago and its neighborhoods. And in many ways, there's fulfillment for me, both from an academic perspective, as well as from a just pure curiosity perspective about the life of neighborhoods and how they change and evolve over time.
Tell me more about this philosophy of being men and women for others. What does that mean? And you mentioned you went to St. Ignatius and has that Jesuit tradition. What does that mean for our viewers?
Again, it stems from experiences that I've had where, as part of the Jesuit tradition, the Jesuit education model, they would position students to conduct community services in communities, really targeting people less fortunate than yourselves. And it's the idea that you as a person can do more than just for yourself. It's about a sense of altruism. It's a sense of going to, sort of a way in which people saw Jesus early on and how he worked with the beggars and others, in his work, and that's sort of where I think that idea or philosophy comes from. Mm-hmm. And the question, for us in our current time is, how does that then get applied in our daily work?
Okay. And Maria, what does it mean for you? We had a conversation a little earlier, and you mentioned something about talents and tying it into what he said.
The Jesuit philosophy, and I think many of us have been impacted by it in many ways, is that this idea that we all, regardless of where we come from and what our talent is, we all have something to contribute. So whether you're a mathematician, you're a marketing expert, or you're a teacher and educator, we all bring something to the table that we can contribute to help others. So it's men and women for others.
And this is kind of, this work, or actually this philosophy is coalescing in this work at the Resurrection Project. And you mentioned that you started with community development, but that's not all you do. Through my research, I found that you also advocate or have advocated for the community in terms of important issues. One that I found is immigration, right? How did that become part of the work that you do at the Resurrection Project?
In a community where 30 to 40% of the individuals are of an immigrant background, government sponsorship and the issues associated with it becomes one of the key barriers for individuals in the community to integrate successfully into whether it be economically, whether it be academically. And so really our interest in this space stems from what our families in the community and the communities that we now serve, which is broader than Pilsen. It includes Little Village, Back of the Yards, Melrose Park, and other areas. It's really the issues that they face and trying to support them in their ability, going back to our roots early on, about having a collective voice to promote those changes. So ideas such as comprehensive immigration reform, the deferred action that just recently resulted in ensuring that when they have the information about new programs or opportunities available to them, and if those opportunities are not available, how do we work to create those opportunities?
And one of those, I guess, newer things that the Resurrection Project is doing, and is tying along with the deferred action and helping the community and its young people along, is the development of a new residence hall, right? La Casa.
Yes.
Tell me how that came about. That's I've never heard of an organization having or sponsoring a residence hall.
You're right, Juan Carlos. It's the first of its kind in the world. But I think Maria.
It's a dream come true. And La Casa is student housing for students from all colleges. And that within itself is an amazing feat. But it's this idea that our students are coming together, working towards one common goal, and it's to get that first bachelor's degree. And it doesn't matter if they go to a community college, they go to the most prestigious of the four-year universities. They're coming together, they're working together, and they're supporting each other through the entire process. But it is a very unique approach to helping our students get through their educational journey. And that is something that's very unique about Pilsen, that Pilsen as a community acknowledged that there was a need for that. They came together and said, we're going to build a place that is equipped with everything that a student needs to succeed in college. And so that is what's so amazing about it, that a community came together and made this possible for the next generation of students.
And what Maria's saying is a little bit more of a homegrown idea. I mean, it was young adults, individuals like myself and Maria, who came up with the idea, who understood what future generations of college students were facing, but also understood what's happening to Latino communities nationally. In Pilsen, for example, about 13% of individuals, 25% and older, have college degrees. That's replicated at a national level as well. At a national level, the Lumina Foundation states that for every 100 elementary school students, only 10 will go on to earn their bachelor's degree.
Of Latinos.
Of Latinos. Huge problem nationwide, especially considering the fact that I believe by 2030, half the population will be of Latino background?
Correct.
And then 63% will require a college degree. 63% of jobs will require a college degree. So when we think about what's happening locally and nationally, it's a huge issue, demographically and related to the economic success of both our city, our state, and our country.
Right, and even now we're seeing the impact of that, because I think the majority of kindergarteners or early elementary grades are now Latino, right? And so in a very short time, we'll see them hopefully going off to college, or as you said, we're not seeing enough of that. However, I'm still curious. It's rare to it's the only kind of residence hall. It's the only type of residence hall like this in the world. Most people would say, let's form a group to support students. Let's get in touch with the college or university and do it that way. Let's start a mentoring program. Why build a residence hall?
In the Pilsen community, TRP has a history of being a forceful organization when it comes to building homes. And I think that TRP recognized that they were good at constructing, they were good at engaging the community, and they were good at educating the community and empowering them to take their talents and create something that was going to change not just an individual, but change future generations. And so for us, what's really frustrating is that when we talk about our CEO, for example, some of the experiences that he had as a young person, as a student, trying to get through college, being the first one to go through it, studying in a bathroom at 2 o'clock in the morning. 10 years later, we come along, 10 to 15 years later, we come along, and we're experiencing the same issues. Our students are coming along now 10 years after us, and they're experiencing the same problems. That's not supposed to happen. Change must happen. Improvement must happen. So if 30 years ago we're experiencing the same things that our students are experiencing today, then we need more than just getting together and doing a mentorship program. We need to look at what is it that our students need, and let's make that happen. And so it's creating the space that they need to live, and the space that they need to be supported. So that once they start school, they start college, they don't just start and drop out or stop out, but they start, they are supported throughout the entire process, and they they succeed in getting that first bachelor's degree. So getting them in and getting them out successfully in a timely fashion. And by that I also mean graduating them within 4 years versus graduating within the 6 years.
Okay, so you both brought something up. You brought up the numbers, saying only 10% more or less go on and earn a bachelor's degree. And you said that despite the generational progress, the passage of time, there has been very little change as far as the impact or the support for Latino students. What are some of those challenges that young Latinos are facing as they look to earn a bachelor's degree?
Well, let's talk about the landscape around where students are living, and what that is. Many of our students are living in larger size households, but living in 2-bedroom apartments. And so when you have that dynamic, and more than likely you're commuting to an area either for your college or more likely for a Latino student, a 2-year college, that creates a variety of different challenges for you to find, as Maria mentioned, that quiet study space that others would normally have on their campuses to engage in their schoolwork. There are also other social issues that our students face, such as safety. If you have to come home at night, if you need to stay on campus and put your time in the library, if you're living in communities that aren't necessarily the safest, you're going to want to come home earlier. And so therefore you're not able to take advantage of the services that are typically available to college students. And so we looked at situations like those and said to ourselves, well, how can we, look at that and address some of those issues by, in effect, creating that fourth or fifth bedroom that families don't have, by creating that quiet study space that students don't have, and then doing it in such a way where they're very close to many college campuses and they can still participate on campus,
Right.
but yet be semi-close and be able to come back to a community. And I think what Maria was talking about is also, when you think about what happens over, we talked about there really hasn't been much progress over time. Many of our students are still facing the issue of being the first in their family to graduate, and we want to ensure that they're both amongst peers going through the same issues, and as well as supported by individuals like Maria, who can help guide them through the path of what it takes to graduate, college successfully and then move on to successful careers.
So tell me about how it's not just giving them that extra room or making it a little easier for them, well, not even a little easier, but easier for them to study and get integrated into the life of the college, like you said, campus life. What else, what support system surrounds these students as they come into La Casa and get into the semesters of study and work and student life?
So we work very closely with colleges and universities, also a lot of support systems for our students. Our students oftentimes are missing out on time with tutors on campus, or meeting with the professors, or even meeting with an advisor. And what we've done at La Casa, as new as we are, we have started those relationships. And again, it's a lot of us coming back to the community and now are those professors, now we are those tutors, and coming back and giving out of our own time to connect with the students and to help them through the process. So it's providing those supports that the students typically wouldn't get because they're rushing home. Providing the spaces, providing the Wi-Fi, even the little things matter when you're trying to work on a project. So creating that space that they need in the support systems. One of the things that I have found that our students really enjoy are those mentor nights. Being able to have conversations with professionals, peer mentors. They see them as peer and career mentors. And they ask 100% every time they ask the same question. They say, how did you do it? Why is this happening to me? How do I get through it? But that question of how did you do it, it comes up every time. So it's that type of support that we're giving them and getting them through the process.
Tell me about a student or a group of students that you've worked with and you've supported and mentored yourself as part of La Casa. What's your title exactly for La Casa?
I'm the director of La Casa.
Okay, as the director of La Casa, how has that been, working directly hands-on with these students?
We have, because our students come from 14 colleges and universities. 14? Yes, and they have different majors, different backgrounds. They're coming from all over the state of Illinois. Many of them have a connection to Pilsen. They're going in different directions. They have different journeys. And so the approach that we've applied is a start where you are approach. So we try to meet the student where they are. So we don't say you should have already done this. We say, okay, let's start where you are. The next step is going to be, let's get you through that. So every student is very unique. I make a really concerted effort to meet every student, meet the families, and try to meet the student where they are and get them where they need to be.
Okay, great. We're running short on time, but we want to talk about this fundraiser that you're going to be part of. So let's focus on that. Tell me about that, how it came about, where it's going to be, and what the funds will be used for.
Sure. The name of the fundraiser is called Global Latino Fest, and it's in its 9th year. Global Latino Fest is an event that culminates Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of Chicago. And our relationship with this event stemmed from one of our board members, Milena Tus, who really loves the work of La Casa and what it's doing with students, and said, well, how can I use this event going forward to raise the visibility as well as raise dollars to ensure that students who should be in La Casa, who La Casa can help them, have greater access to it. And so the goal of the event is to with the net proceeds, create a scholarship fund to help students who despite La Casa's affordability, can't access it. And so that's the goal. The event is October 11th, and it'll be from 6 to 10 p.m.
Where will it take place?
It'll take place at Germania Place, which I believe is 103 West Germania, but I'm sure that we'll provide that on the screen shortly.
Yeah, we'll have a graphic for that. Tell me what happens at this, it's in its 9th year, the Global Latino Fest. What can people who are interested in supporting La Casa, supporting the Resurrection Project's work, what will they see if they attend this event?
Sure, and we hope that you do attend. The first thing is, in order to attend, go to our website, www.resurrectionproject.org, and there you can find information about how to buy a ticket. And the event encompasses a celebration of the rich cultures within the Latino community. So in particular this year, I believe there's a focus on Argentina, Mexico, as well as Colombia. And you'll see performances, artistic, dance, musical. There'll also be a display of the cuisines, which individuals can taste. And there will also be a gallery of vendors who provide artwork and other sorts of wares pertaining to these cultures.
Okay. And so there's dinner and entertainment and,
Yes.
and drinks for anybody.
Yes.
It's a kind of, well, it's a fest. It's
And
a
it's
party.
networking.
Celebration.
And it's networking.
It's networking as well.
It brings together probably about 700 Latino professionals
Wow.
from Chicago. We've got confirmation that Lieutenant Governor Sheila Simon will attend. We also know that Tony Preckwinkle will also attend. And we've also secured support from a variety of different sponsors, and we're very thankful for them as well.
Great. Thank you so much for coming out. We're out of time, and it's exciting to hear about your work and the support you're giving to the community.
Thank you.
Community Forum is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Community Forum for local issues and concerns every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.